2 years ago, I released a video exploring the lost deleted scenes from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I basically used a combination of the script, promotional material, and production stills to clarify some of the inexplicable details left in the movie, such as Dell's mysterious black eye in the last act and the backstory behind the motel room burglar. I had always been fascinated by these missing scenes since they were first mentioned by John Hughes sometime in the early 2000s, also because the only surviving deleted scene was truly great. I've also just always been in love with this movie, so much so I even decided to remake a portion of it for a high school film project.
Gee, if your kid spills his milk, do you slap him upside the head?
What? What is that supposed to mean?
While I initially presented the case for Paramount to release a director's cut of the film, it was after I released my video that I was put in touch with some cast members and crew of the movie, as well as associates of John Hughes himself. It was only then that I began to realize just how much John Hughes stood by the movie's final cut. Hughes just loved to shoot more than was needed and always encouraged his actors to have fun with their parts. This was evidenced a few months later when this Uncle Buck deleted scene was unearthed. The 12-minute scene adds little to the film, but it's great to see John Candy's improv skills at work here.
Yogi? Very boo-boo.
Bubba!
From the Hughes associates that I spoke to, it was revealed that John Hughes would often give his actors VHS tapes of their full scenes, if they were shortened or omitted from the theatrical cut for them to use in their demo reels. So did these fabled Planes, Trains, and Automobiles deleted scenes exist on VHS tapes somewhere?
And if they told you Wolverines would make good house pets, would you believe them?
Well, earlier this year, that question was answered. In the archives of John Hughes, several VHS tapes were discovered, totaling around 70 minutes of mostly extended scenes.
Come noontime, take the socks off, reverse them. Gives your foot a little break for the rest of the day, kind of a refresher there.
The Hughes family was generous enough to share those tapes with the world, and Paramount decided to include them on a bonus disc of their 4K Blu-ray, which hit shelves this week.
Super, fabulous. Isn't that nice?
Whether my original video had anything to do with that remains unclear, but I do think that the fan response and interest to that video at least inspired someone to investigate further. That being said, I wanted to break down this hour plus of footage to highlight some finally found omissions that I speculated on in my original video, as well as other scenes that completely surprised me.
What you doing, man? What you doing? Don't touch my women! Don't touch my girls! Don't touch anything in this cab! This is my cab. Don't touch it!
Doobie, you're scaring me over here.
This is the lost and found version of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh, they're hot.
Now again, all of the footage I'm showing here is owned by Paramount and the Hughes estate. I do need to give special thanks to the Hughes family for finally locating these scenes, and for Paramount for deciding to put them on their 4K release. In total, I'm only showcasing a small percentage of this recently discovered footage, and I really encourage you to pick up the Blu-ray to see the rest, as hopefully it will encourage more studios to preserve and locate deleted scenes. Watching these new takes will make your annual Thanksgiving viewing of the movie that much better.
Gigi?
No, honey, it's Giggy.
Giggy, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is Wichita, not Paris.
It's a pretty name. Isn't that a pretty name? You don't hear Giggy too often, do you?
The one surprising constant throughout all of these extended scenes is the incredible improv skill of John Candy. These scenes expand upon his role as Dell in a way that I never expected.
Some sourdough bread. They make it fresh, in San Francisco. They sell it at all the airports. It's very good. You probably have some already. I usually carry a couple loaves with me. But if you want, I'll get you a loaf.
Sir, please.
I honestly always found Neil's first outburst at Dell to be a little premature, but when you start watching this footage, you'll fully understand why Neil reaches his breaking point just hours after meeting him.
Neil. Would that be a Gaelic name? I think it is. I think it's a Gaelic name, Neil.
Keep in mind the following dialogue takes place before the plane even takes off.
People will tell you more on an airplane. Well, than sometimes in their whole life talking to their spouse or their best friends. People have opened up to me in the past. Oh, God, yeah, and me to them. And I've chatted a little bit myself, too,
As speculated in my original video, the plane introduction scene was quite a bit longer. I didn't expect the full conversation to be 10 minutes longer, though. Here's a small taste of the full scene.
I was on a layover in Buffalo about a week ago. I was so hard up. I read a biography on Prince, the internationally known rock star. That's not his real name, by the way. It's Rogers Nelson.
When you look at the script, you can see some of the original exchange made it in, though Hughes clearly encouraged his actors to keep going, resulting in some amazing ad-libs.
We're doing all right now. We're on our feet. We're fine. We're okay. Young people today buying their first homes don't have the same phobia about shower curtains their parents did. That Hitchcock, he was the Dickens, wasn't he? He was terrible. Dun-dun, 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 dun-dun. Did you see Birds?
Here's another part of this conversation as written, and now how Steve Martin and John Candy brought it to life.
That was a gift for getting the shower ring contract for the U.S. Navy. You know how many rings that baby was worth?
No idea.
Take a guess.
I really wouldn't know.
Oh, take a guess.
I really don't.
Take a guess. It's fun.
1,000.
Try 37 million.
Honestly, that is the true joy of seeing these scenes. You'll come away with a newfound respect for everyone involved in the movie. John Hughes for encouraging his actors to have fun with the material, Candy and Martin for playing off each other so well, and editor Paul Hirsch for refining these scenes in a way that benefited the movie.
Don't let me stand in your way. Please don't let me stand in your way. The last thing I want to be remembered as is an annoying blabbermouth.
Similarly, this also happens in what I consider to be the crown jewel of these deleted scenes, the extended Braidwood Inn sequence. In the final cut, Del and Neil check into their hotel room, Neil takes a shower, the two of them turn in for the night, and Neil reaches his breaking point when Del clears his sinuses. Of course, followed by Del's "You Wanna Hurt Me" speech. It's a scene that lasts about 10 minutes in total. Well, in this new deleted footage, the whole scene is extended to about 26 minutes. As highlighted in my original video, a large portion of this scene revolves around Del ordering a pizza while Neil is in the shower, with him going into Neil's wallet to pay for it, which is alluded to later in the movie when Neil says,
I had over $700 in here, and you went into my wallet for pizza.
Del then only tips the delivery boy $1.
Well, that's only a 5% tip.
You're very good with figures. You're going to enjoy college.
Causing him to return later that night to rob them in a scene that is in the theatrical cut.
And when your wife gets out of the shower, why don't you shave her chest?
Hey,
bone?
just get going, all right? Go on! Man, drugs? Yeah, thought so. Little police on you.
I'm still amazed by how well the finished film works, considering all the detail that was left out.
There's a slice missing!
You don't really question who it is that is robbing them, it just makes sense, thanks to good editing.
That's pizza?
Mm-hmm, it's delicious, too. I saved you a slice.
I asked you to order me a salad.
They didn't have any salads.
Also in the new footage, Del enters the bathroom while Neil is in the shower, using up all of the towels and making a huge mess of the sink. This is one thing that I feel should have been left in, as it explains why Neil didn't notice the mess or lack of towels when he got in the shower.
I'm in here.
That's okay, you're not bothering me.
John Candy is also just a blast to watch here, as he goes through Del's nighttime routine. A couple of these takes ended up in the trailer, as did Neil eating the pizza, which is also included here.
It has a wonderful shitty taste.
And you remember in the movie when Del says,
I had no idea those beer cans were going to blow like that.
well, we finally get to see those beer cans explode, and it's a lot of fun.
Cheers. Ah! Ah! Jeez! Ah, get out of my eyes!
Hey, watch it! Get the beer out the bed!
I can't.
Damn it! Get some towels! Get some
Give me a towel! Give me a towel!
Get some towels!
God!
Now, probably the most fascinating aspect of this extended scene is Del and Neil's argument. The catalyst for that argument originally wasn't Del clearing his sinuses, but rather this.
Neil?
What?
I have got to fart something fierce.
While it does lead to a few funny lines from Steve Martin during his outburst,
I don't even know you! And you ask me if you could fart in bed. What am I supposed to say? Yeah, let's put up a sail and we'll get home faster.
I'm glad this element was left out, as it takes away a lot of the heart and charm of Del's character.
I have a few more things to do before I go to sleep. All right? I've got to crack my knuckles, just a couple, scratch my ass, and adjust my underwear. Is that okay with you?
I'm even more relieved that they cut Del's speech at the perfect moment.
Because I'm the real article. What you see is what you get.
Here's what he originally said following.
What you see is what you get. Flaws, fat, and boring stories. I'm flesh and blood. I'm a human being.
There is one final beat to this sequence that was left on the cutting room floor, though I think it's charming in its own way.
Del,
What?
I apologize to you for those things I said.
I'm sorry too.
These are all things that were in the script, so they're not that surprising to see. But watching them now, I can really appreciate how tight the finished movie is.
Tighter than Tom Thumb's ass.
One exchange that I always loved in the script was the scene in the diner when Del and Neil try to get out of paying their tab. Here, Del tries to claim that Neil never received his oatmeal, leading to a hilarious exchange that we can finally now see brought to life.
Look, honey, I know for a fact that I gave you your oatmeal, because when I was carrying it over here, I pulled out a hair that would make your armpit proud.
Is that a fact?
Uh-huh. It was black and shiny and curly as a pig's tail.
Oh. Did it have a follicle ball at the end of it?
Well, I think it did.
Yeah, a little crusty. Lice were crawling around it at one point or another.
Oh, honey, it was foul.
There are so many great little moments like this hidden away throughout these newly found scenes. When reading the script, it's always been fun to envision some of these omissions, but getting to see them now is simply incredible. Again, they don't really add much to the story, but they really reinforce how perfectly John Candy and Steve Martin were cast in their roles.
Go ahead, say it. I'm a blabbermouth.
I don't want to say that.
Come on, say it. I'm a blabbermouth.
I don't want to say
it.
No,
I'm
I
a
have no.
blabbermouth.
All right, you're a
blabbermouth.
blabbermouth.
Now, there are still a good amount of scenes unaccounted for, including Neil giving Del his black eye, the courthouse scene, and Del's longer ending speech. There are some moments from the affair subplot that are included here, though not all of them. In total, there's a lot of amazing content here, and I've only just scratched the surface in what I've highlighted in this video. I'm not at all disappointed that it all wasn't found, because what we have is pretty great. 2 years ago, I called for Paramount to release the Hughes cut, and in the time since, I learned that the theatrical cut of the movie we have today is the Hughes cut. John Hughes stood by Paul Hirsch's edit, trusting him implicitly to fine-tune the movie, and what a masterful job he did. When you look at these deleted scenes, it's amazing that there aren't more glaring inconsistencies aside from just a few unexplained lines of dialogue left in the movie. The edit really transformed the pacing and structure and the relationship between the characters. Instead of taking away from the movie as we know it today, these newly found scenes just reinforce how perfect of a movie it already is.
First you delay me, then you bump me. I can't wait to see what happens next.
Stop it, please.
First you delay me, then you bump me. I can't wait to see what happens next.
Is this a coincidence or what? Have a seat.
This content is a window into a filmmaking process that doesn't seem to exist in film comedy anymore. A trust amongst the director and stars, and a willingness to admit some of the riffing, as hilarious as it may be, to benefit the final cut. Regardless, I am thankful for Paramount and the Hughes family for giving us a chance to look through that window. It's made me love a perfect movie even more, which I didn't even think was possible. I guess at the end of the day, I could even say,
love is not a big enough word
for how I feel about this movie.
It's warm.
Hey, it comes out warm. What the hell's the difference how it goes in? Cheers.